I was afraid you'd talk me out of it. You could have.
We don't need them here. I don't need my sword. I think you can find a way. We can find a way. And if we don't, I'm still with you.
What's going on, my Walking Dead peeps, fellow Richonners and shippers alike? It's your girl Lynn here with a new character analysis video, The Making of Richonne. Before we get started, do me a favor and smash those like and subscribe buttons and hit the notification bell so you will be alerted anytime I drop new content. Now that we have the housekeeping out of the way, let's jump into the subject of this video. Throughout history, there have been countless TV romances that have captivated shippers all over the world. Admittedly, I thought nothing could ever top the up and down chaos of the great Victor and Nikki Newman. But on November 18, 2012, the greatest slow burn romance in TV history graced millions of screens. The union of Rick and Michonne seemed almost inevitable from the first scene they shared together. I mean, these are two people who, if not for the outbreak, might have never met one another. Michonne was a well-to-do lawyer who ran a private practice and seemingly accustomed to the finer things in life. Rick, the son of a farmer, grew up to become a sheriff's deputy in a small town. On the surface, they were worlds apart from having anything in common. So what brought them together? Some might say it was the circumstances they were in, the losses that they suffered, but most would undoubtedly say it was their love for Carl. Although I believe all of these reasons are baked into the essence of Rick and Michonne's relationship, they are not the foundation on which their union was built. To understand why they became Richonne, we must look at who they were before the outbreak and what drove them as individuals. It's evident early on that although the world falling to shit was not ideal, Michonne was built to withstand such an event and all the horrors that came along with it. We know very little about her life from before. Viewers were privy to the fact that she had a son, Andre, with her boyfriend Mike. After the outbreak, they ended up at a camp with other survivors, where Michonne adapted to the change in the world and instinctively knew the only way to make it is to fight for every minute of every day, whereas Mike and his friend Terry were struggling mentally.
All right, I see what this is.
Really? What is this, Michonne? I mean, you've gotten good with a sword. You know how valuable that is now? You know what that makes you?
For what? What are we going for? Where's the happy ending here? This isn't life. This isn't anything close, okay? Not for me, not for us.
Michonne took it upon herself to not only provide for her family, but the makeshift community that they had become a part of. We all know that she went on a supply run and upon returning, found the camp destroyed and overrun by walkers. She also found what was left of her son, and her boyfriend and his friend had been bitten. It's not explained how she knew that Mike and Terry were high, but she knew and allowed them to turn.
Where did you find them? Did they attack? Did you hunt them down? Or did you know them?
Okay. They deserve what they got.
They got what they deserved. That was her stance. She left her only child with his father, believing that he would protect Andre, and that decision had cost her. Keeping the rotting corpses of these men that she trusted wasn't just a punishment for them, but for herself. A constant reminder of the mistakes she had made while condemning herself to a life of solitude. She had literally become the walking dead. This moment would be the catalyst that would lead her to Andrea and ultimately Rick Grimes. While Michonne was on a road that would eventually lead her to the prison gates, Rick had been on his own death walk even before the fall. Rick talks about the cracks in his marriage, and it is evident that Lori's doubt of not only his love, but the ability to protect his family caused him to shut down and retreat.
Do you express your thoughts? Do you share your feelings, that kind of stuff? Thing is, lately, whenever I try, everything I say makes her impatient, like she didn't want to hear it after all. It's like she's pissed at me all the time, and I don't know why.
At every turn, he faced opposition when it came to the one person whom he should have been able to confide in without fear of rejection or ridicule.
We can't live like this. Is there anything else I should know about?
Shane and I.
I know. Of course I know.
Even in the face of Laurie's betrayal with his best friend, Rick remained loyal to her and claimed her daughter as his own without hesitation. In the beginning of season 3, we find out that Rick's group have not been able to find permanent shelter all winter, and with Laurie due any day now, Rick was determined to find a place for them. He and Daryl happen upon a prison while hunting, and we can see it in Rick's face. He knew this would be their new home, but what he didn't know is that it would come at a cost. In Season 3, Episode 4, Killer Within, the prison is breached by walkers when a prisoner, Andrew, whom Rick had left for dead in Episode 2, comes looking for revenge. Laurie goes into early labor. Unable to give birth naturally, she tells Maggie to take the baby, and with her death, Rick fell into self-blame.
I couldn't put it back together. I'll find a place. I will fix that. And then I couldn't open that door. I couldn't risk it.
This was a familiar territory with him, it seemed. Anything that went wrong is because he believed, or others believed, that he hadn't done enough. He hadn't been good enough. After being separated from her group, Andrea was rescued by Michonne. The two would spend all winter together, building a close friendship. Though Michonne's journey with her new friend would come to an end after Andrea fell for the charms of a sadistic governor in an ill-fated reunion with an old acquaintance. She warned Andrea about the governor in Woodbury and told her that something just didn't seem right, something was off, but her concerns fell on deaf ears.
Close the gates.
No. I practically begged the governor to let you stay. I didn't ask for that.
You didn't have to. That's what friends do for each other.
It goes both ways.
So you want to run around out there with walkers on chains eating twigs? I mean, is that right?
We held our own.
Don't do this. Don't give me an ultimatum. Not after everything.
Are you coming or not? You just slow me down anyway.
The governor sends Merle after Michonne to kill her. After a brief fight, he only manages to wound her in the leg before she escapes. Instead of finishing the job, Merle heads back to Woodbury, and he encounters Maggie and Glenn, who had been on a run for baby formula. He kidnaps them and takes them back to the governor, as Michonne looks on. This is the moment where Michonne makes a decision that would change the course of her life thus far. She had every reason to go her own way and get as far away from the area as possible, but she didn't. She not only made her way to the prison she heard about, but took along the baby formula despite her injury. From the beginning, she was looking out for the little girl who would later become her daughter. Once Rick brings her inside the prison, they have their second intense stare down, and she tells Rick what happened to Glenn and Maggie.
Hey, these are all people. You tell us what happened now.
Don't you ever touch me again.
Better start talking. You're gonna have a much bigger problem than a gunshot wound.
Even with others in the room, it's like they're the only ones present at the moment. Two troubled souls instantly attracted like magnets to one another. This wouldn't be the only time this kind of interaction would manifest itself.
You need help to get them back to the prison, or to go back in there for Daryl. Either way, you need me.
Do you know Andrea?
Yep, she does. Her and Blondie spent all winter cuddling up in the forest,
We patch you up, and then you are gone.
Like his father, Carl was cautious when it came to Michonne and her sudden appearance in their lives. In Season 3, Episode 12, Clear, Rick takes Michonne and Carl on a run to his old neighborhood to retrieve weapons from the sheriff's armory so they could defend themselves against the growing threat of the governor. They find the armory stripped of weapons, and Rick says that he knows of a bar where weapons are hidden. There's no surprise that Rick is immediately on the defensive, thinking that Michonne doubts him and his plan.
They might still be there. Do you have a problem with that approach?
No, Rick, I don't have a problem.
The sincerity in her response made Rick take notice. Up until this point, Rick had been questioned and doubted by everyone apart from Daryl. This show of confidence in his ability helped to lower his guard with Michonne. We also get to see the beginning of Michonne's bond with Carl. Despite the cold shoulder he was giving her, Michonne managed to break through his tough exterior with the same finesse she had displayed with his father.
You came out here for common interests. We have the same enemy, the same problem, and that's why you're here. That's it. This is important. I'm going to do this. And I know how I can. You can't stop me.
I can't stop you. But you can't stop me from helping you.
She helps him retrieve a picture of his family from the town bar. This kind yet dangerous act on his behalf cemented itself in Carl's mind and heart. What Michonne had done, not just for him, but for Judith, brought the boy to the realization that she wasn't just some stranger with a common interest. Michonne was not part of their group, and above all, she was a friend. Her empathic ability to reach father and son was no surprise. She was a nurturer, a ride or die at the core of her being. After the dust had settled on their battle with Woodbury, leaving the death of Andrea in its wake, Michonne was hell-bent on finding the governor and putting an end to him once and for all.
And I found this. Your face is losing the war.
You gonna stay a little while?
Just a little while.
That giddy smile on Rick's face says it all. He had missed her. Their growing closeness has partially happened off-screen, probably consisting of late-night talks, sharing a meal, or even just standing silently together watching the perimeter from the guard tower.
Whoa, look who's back.
Didn't find him.
Glad to see you in one piece.
I think I'm looking over near Macon. It's worth a shot.
The look on Daryl's face as he looked between the two let viewers know that Michonne's absence had greatly affected Rick, as if he knew what they meant to each other long before they did. So he comes to Rick's aid and tries to dissuade Michonne from going back out. A moment comes later, after a run where they lose Zach, one of the newer residents from Woodbury, that Michonne tells Daryl that he's right. Being out there, it wasn't worth the risk.
You're right, what you said before. About the trail going cold. I don't need to go out anymore.
Good.
It's almost as if the tragedy that had just transpired propelled her backward in time to what happened the last time she left the camp for a run and the horror that followed after. Unbeknownst to her, the governor would soon return to the gates of the prison, and with him a small army of survivors.
Carl? Where's Carl?
I don't know.
Don't look back. Carl, just keep walking.
Alone again after the destruction of the prison, Michonne set out with seemingly no destination in mind. Along the way, a small group of walkers fall in with her, and she notices that one of the walkers has a similarity to her. The look on Michonne's face is unmistakable. She realized that she had become one of them again. Not willing to fall back into old habits, she also ends the walkers who cloaked her and set out to find the two souls that now meant everything to her. Meanwhile, Rick and Carl had found a home in an abandoned neighborhood so that Rick could recover from his injuries. Father and son had endured a roller coaster of emotions in their time together and had come to a sort of peace when there was a knock on the door.
What?
It's for you.
One of the scenes that I think is severely underrated in Richonne's history is the conversation that they have while at the home about what would come next.
Thank you. I heard him laughing in there. Almost forgot what that sounded like. You know, I can't be his father and his best friend. He needs you.
Rick thanks her for being there for Carl and says that if it ever got to be too much for her, to just let him know. This statement may seem like it was nothing, just Rick not wanting to make Michonne feel responsible for his son. But I believe it had to do with his remembrance of how Lori viewed their new reality when it came to their kids.
Maybe this isn't a world for children anymore.
Yeah, well, we have a child. Carl is here in this world now.
Maybe he shouldn't be. Maybe this is how it's supposed to be. It's like we live with a knife at our throats every second of every day.
I can't accept that.
Michonne is quick to shut this suggestion down, letting him know that being there for Carl would never be too much for her. Later, while on a run for supplies with the boy, Michonne tells him about her son Andre.
His name was Andre Anthony.
How long has it been?
It happened after everything happened.
The vulnerability that she displayed wasn't lost on Carl, and he promises to keep her secret. Though it wasn't a secret, it was knowledge that she trusted him with, and was yet another shining example of how close she had grown not only to Rick, but his son as well. Upon their return, they see Rick running to them, urging them to follow. While at the house alone, he had encountered Joe and his claimers, and after killing one of them in the bathroom, Rick takes what would later be known by fans as his murder jacket.
I killed Shane. He came at me. I just wanted it over. I wanted him dead.
This moment that he had with Lori would ultimately lead to another important conversation that Richonne would have in episode A. After being separated from Beth, Daryl had joined the claimers, not knowing that the people that they were searching for were his friends. Daryl offers his life for theirs, but it goes like one would expect. Joe orders his men to beat Daryl to death and then tells Rick what they're going to do to Michonne and Carl and how he's going to be forced to watch it all.
Let him go.
What the hell are you gonna do now, sport?
He's mine.
Rick had done what he needed to do to protect the people he loved, and as Carl and Daryl stared at the scene in front of them, their expressions were different from Michonne's. In her eyes, there was no disgust, horror, fear. There was only a look of resolution. The next day, after making their way down the railroad tracks toward a place called Terminus, Rick makes a point to look at Michonne and simply say, "I'm okay." He wanted to let her know that he was still him, and I think it was a call back to what happened when he told Lori about Shane and the remembrance of his wife and how she had pulled away from him and treated him like he was a monster. He didn't want Michonne to be afraid of him. He had every right to believe that after taking a man out with his teeth, that this woman that he had become so connected to would think the same as Lori. But again, Michonne silenced his fears. She replied that she knows he's okay, because she's okay too. And that was the truth. She now saw him in another light. Considering how she lost Andre, what happened with the Claimers no doubt stood out to her and ingrained itself in her heart and mind. Before the previous night, she may have thought that Rick was the kind of man who would do anything to protect his family. But now it was confirmed. It wasn't the brutality of the act itself. It was the fighter within that drew her closer to Rick. The common consensus among the Richonne fandom, even with the actress herself, is that this was the moment when Michonne fell in love with Rick. She had seen him in darkness and wasn't afraid to be crushed under the weight of the truth, whereas Daryl had seen the event differently.
Hey, what you did last night, anybody would have done that.
No, not that.
Something happened. That ain't you.
Daryl, you saw what I did to Tyrese. It ain't all of it, but that's me. That's why I'm here now. That's why Carl is. I'm gonna keep him safe. That's all that matters.
Carl would also have reservations when it came to this side of his father that he had never seen before, and Michonne would have a conversation with him upon reaching the perimeter of Terminus. She laid it all on the line and told him of the darkness that had consumed her and how it was him, his father, and Andrea who brought her back.
I see how you've been looking at your dad. You don't have to be afraid of me or him.
He told me the other day that he was proud of me. That I was a good man. I'm not. Carl, I know more now about what he wanted from me. And I tried, but I still have these thoughts. I'm not what he thinks I am. I'm just a monster too.